Hey everyone, welcome back to everyone that is new to our page and just getting in. My name is Marilyn Nichols. I'm the CPA and owner of Your Desired Advisors. We are a CPA advisory firm. We focus on accounting, advisory services, tax planning, and we specialize in the construction industry. Our goal is to make sure that you as a business owner can understand your numbers and be able to make those decisions in real time. So this week, what we're talking about is construction contracts. So the reason we're talking about this is because this also affects your bottom line and really understanding what you have in your contracts. And that's the main reason for this topic this week. So I wanted to put a caveat out there first is that, I am not an attorney. So I do believe that you still should have your construction contracts reviewed from an attorney. What we're discussing today is basically from a financial standpoint and how to understand like the anatomy of your construction contract and how it affects your cash flow. All right, so now we're going to just basically talk about the first steps, and it's basically understanding, what's included in a construction contract. If you're just getting started and you're trying to understand these things, and this is basically what you want to make sure that you're taking a look at once you set up, your contracts. So most contracts and all contracts will consist of these four main things, which is the scope of work, your payment terms, change order conditions, and the completion criteria. What are those four items? So we know that our scope of work is basically going to just outline exactly what it is that needs to be constructed. It's going to provide that detailed description of all the tasks and what are the expected outcomes, of the specific work that you're going to be doing. Then we go into our payment terms. So the payment terms is what we're really focused on because this is where we're dictating, the cash flow of the project and how and when the payments will be made. So we want to make sure, what type of draws are we going to have and when can we expect it based on our timeline. Then we go into our change order conditions, which here we're basically just addressing how the change orders and will be handled based on the original scope. And this is very important. This is a lot of times, a lot of companies and some clients that I have, they miss this section and having that in their contract, just talking about change orders, adjustments, costs, and timeline, because that can truly affect your bottom line. And then we want to talk about, our completion criteria and basically what constitute project completion and the conditions for your final payment. Is there retainage in there? Do we have to wait an additional 30 to 45 days after we complete our job to have our final payment? So those are the things you want to make sure that's listed in there and it's very clear and concise on how those payments will be made. And then another important thing is you want to make sure that you're taking into consideration what is the risk that's associated with it. So what we're talking about here is, who's responsible for all the additional costs? Is this due to basically like your unforeseen circumstances? Is it the weather, material price hikes, project delays? But a well-drafted contract is going to make sure that you outline all of these responsibilities so you can make sure that you're not out of pocket unexpectedly. And then we want to go into basically our piece of it, which is the financial implications of a contract. So I want to go here and just take a deeper look at this and tell you this is how, it's going to impact your bottom line. First thing is we're always taking a look at those payment terms because we're projecting. This is our cash flow projection. We're trying to figure out, how those structured progress payments are coming in because that's how we're going to maintain our cash inflow. How do we pay out our contractors, our vendors, our suppliers? These are things that we have to make sure we're paying attention to and adjusting our schedule accordingly based on these payment terms, especially if we have the retainage on there, because that retainage clause could hold a portion of that payment until project completion. And that can affect, your cash flow because your subcontractors aren't going to wait for the retainage to come in order to get paid. So those are the things we really want to make sure we can understand how much we're expecting to get within that time frame and, what are the implications as far as how long we need to wait for certain payments to come in. Then we have our change orders. So change orders can actually be a challenge and it can be an opportunity for you. you want to make sure that you are clearly defining that change order process in your contract so that it doesn't affect your budget. You want to make sure you're putting in there, with those change orders, is payment due prior to getting the work done on that change order, making sure that you have a signature sign and that they approve for everything so that you're not sitting here waiting for your payment. So, and then that, but the thing is that if you don't include anything about a change order, this is when you can, this will result in like having those disputes that we are, that we don't look forward to doing. So it's basically making sure that we're including that in there, understanding what those terms are so that we could have steady cash flow. We're looking for a healthy cash flow and trying to make sure that our disputes of going back and forth can basically be at a minimum. So what are some of the best practices that you can use in managing your contracts? So there are a few things that you can do. And, the first thing is, just making sure you do your contract review and negotiation. Make sure you're looking at your contracts. Again, make sure you have an attorney just review your contracts for you prior to you sending them out to any of your customers or clients, because you want to make sure you're focused on those clauses relates to payments, late payments, liabilities, and dispute resolutions. We want to make sure that is clearly defined. Documentation is one thing that I stress constantly. We want to be very meticulous with all of our documentation that we're doing. All communication, basically agreements, any changes, even if you talk to a client or a customer on the phone and you're having a phone conversation, and the one thing that you want to do is make sure that you just follow up with an email and address everything that was discussed during that phone call. We are keeping a paper trail. This is our CYA. We want to make sure that we're emailing regarding any contract changes, contract related issues. We want to make sure all of that is documented between between admin and your office, and whatever issues you may have had or communication that you're having with the customer or the client at that time. So this basically is going to protect you from all those financial risks. These are the things that affect your bottom line, that takes away from the profit that you're supposed to be receiving, because you're spending so much time trying to fix all of these contract related issues. And the last thing is, we want to make sure that we are always talking about technology, leveraging technology. I think in every live that I have discussed in the past few weeks, we've basically talked about how to utilize technology. We're in this digital world now, and this is going to streamline your contract management. Like, this is what we're looking for. These are the things we're going to do so that we could take away from all of those administrative tasks that we continue to not waste, but we can waste our time on that. And there are so many other softwares, if you make that investment, that will save you so much time, so you could focus on bringing in more business, focus on generating additional revenue when you could streamline some of those services. So what are we talking about? Platforms like the Procore, Buildertrend, ContractWorks, all of these can track and manage your contracts for you. Make sure the terms are met, and then just document it so it's easily accessible for you and your clients. And then again, we're integrating it with our financial systems. What financial systems are we using? Sage, QuickBooks. Just want to make sure that we're getting it in real time, because how can we make business decisions? How can we grow? By making sure that we have up-to-date financials. We want to make sure that we are looking at, what our project budgets look like versus the actual expenses that we have for a specific project. There, not being able to have this information up to date just delays your growth, because you don't have the information that you need up front to understand how the numbers are working for your business. So you want to make sure you have that up-to-date accounting system. If you are using QuickBooks Desktop or anything like that, you need to get on the cloud. Make sure you're getting on the cloud so that you can have that information up to date. So there's a quick example I have of a client who had this issue of basically what they overlooked on their contract clause, and it related to the change order process. So what happened with this client, they had unapproved work and escalated costs that happened when they were it was a home builder, and they were building out they did some additional work that was needed. They never got an approved change order. And of course, the client disputed the services. And the client did, and he did not receive the funds from the client based on that. So you just want to make sure that, you're looking at these contract reviews. Make sure you have a clear understanding of the terms, you and the client as well. And just be vigilant on what's going on, what you need to be doing to make sure that, again, we are trying to make sure that our bottom line is healthy. And these are the things that we need to be doing in order to, prevent us going into some type of frenzy of not having enough cash to pay our vendors, not having enough cash to even pay ourselves. So we just want to make sure that those are the things that we're doing. Again, like I stated, you want to make sure that your contract gets reviewed by an attorney, that they're able to ensure that you are protected. Make sure there are payment terms in there, how much you can charge for late fees, legal fees, all of those things need to be in there. They are for your protection and for your business. So, I want to hear from you guys and basically let me know, like, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing in your projects? Because that's the whole goal of this group, is basically for us to discuss and learn from each other, and what are some things that we all can do in our business to help us grow. So hopefully you guys like this time. We're going to switch over to Fridays. We're going to try afternoon to see how this works. If not, we may switch over and do an evening, but we'll see how things work out. Thank you all for your feedback. And, we're just making sure that we could provide a service to you all, and that you all can understand what you need to be doing. And then hopefully you all found this helpful. So until next time, I will see you guys next week, same time. Take care.